Car wash breakdown from a real car wash owner. That's me. There's basically 3 sections to a car wash. I mean, obviously there's more, but those are like getting into the finite details, but like overall, 3. First is the water, okay? Now here's how it works. Coming from the city into your building, it runs at about, 50 PSI. Okay? That's a 5. So 50 PSI. And we got to get it out to the bay at 2 different levels. The low pressure stuff is about 100, anywhere from, 65 to 100. And the other one, there's 3 functions that need about 1200. They both require pumps, but there's pretty much 2 different types of pumps. Obviously, there's hundreds of them, but I'm talking about mine. The low pressure pump that I use just requires some air, and it's basically a flow jet. And basically all that does is take chemicals from a bucket that gets filled up by the city water and pushes it out to the bay, the wand, whatever, tire cleaner, foam brush, all that stuff at about 65 PSI to 100. Okay. The other type of pump, most likely it's a cat pump. I got general pumps as well, but let's just go with the common cat pump. It's a, blue brand name cat pump. And again, you got from a rinse tank that's filled up by the city of 50 PSI or whatever, it goes through the cat pump, and that cat pump pushes it out anywhere from 900 to 1200. I recommend this number. Remember, people aren't loyal to really car wash brands. They're loyal to high pressure and a lot of soap. They want to smell it. They want to be able to feel the pressure. So keep that in mind. The second thing is electricity, and it's literally the opposite. What do I mean by that? Water going in to your building is at like 50 and you're trying to boost it up. Whereas the electricity comes in at like 220 and you're trying to bring it down to 24. Everything outside in the bay and all the timers and the coin mechanisms and all that stuff, 24 volts. So really the trick is how do I get the high to go down here? And it's fairly simple. Transformers. So basically what you have is you have a motor that needs the 220, and then it's basically a 3-phase, okay? So basically you have a high and then 2 lows, which are basically, 110, 110. And so basically you take the 110 that feeds this transformer, and then that takes it down to the needed 24. And then there's a coil behind this contactor right here. And I recommend keeping it at 24 volt. That way it's easier, because this is what you're using as well to feed outside. There's a rotary switch, and that rotary switch will kick on certain things at 24 volts. So when it shows a high pressure thing like rinse or something like that, well, it needs another 24 signal to complete the home run. And so I just have it go, the motor starter is going to be 24 volts back here. And then I use the 110 for the transformer to get it 24 volts. And then obviously there's I can't think of the term right now, but basically you have all the wires coming in, and basically they look like this. And it's like, okay, I got contactor wires that represent each function, and you just have the same order inside the coin box, and a switch, just happens to be a rotary switch, but you can have push button switches, whatever. You have a switch that says when it's right here, this function is on. So depending upon if it's a low pressure, or high pressure. Remember, there's only three functions that are high pressure. That is rinse, high pressure soap, and high pressure wax. Everything else is this category. But I know there's a lot more, but I mean, if you really break it down as an overall view, that's really all the car wash is. Now, there's one last item, very, very important for a couple of products, okay? But it doesn't come naturally into the car wash. You have to bring it in. That's air. So basically, you just bring in a compressor. And what I like to do is I like to keep it at about 100 is basically the tool PSI, right? And then what that does is it feeds low pressure systems. For example, the foam. You need to have half product, half air. So I keep that, whatever your product is set to, like if we're looking from the top here at 65. So if it's 65 on the product, well, I want it to be about 40-ish of air so that it foams up. That's what the foam brush is. I also have it on my tire cleaner. So I also have tire cleaner. I like mine foamy. But that's what the air is for. And lastly, remember, the air here is what this flow jet uses. Anybody who's thinking about getting in the car wash and think, man, that's just too complicated. I don't know if I could. No, it is extremely simple. Not easy, right? Simple and easy are not the same. But simple, yes. And it took me a long time to really break down the car wash because I used to just overcomplicate. Now there are certain systems that are annoying and you're like, oh, what about this? And we haven't even talked about, like the spot-free water system and things of that nature. We haven't talked about solenoids or things that open. They use 24 volts though. But we don't talk about some of those things. This was just a breakdown of the basic, not even 101, 100 of when you're thinking about a car wash and you go in there, it's basically like, hey, I got to take the water from the city, ramp it up. I got to take the electricity and ramp it down. And I got to bring my own air. And if you can focus on that, then you're one step closer to the car wash of your dreams. So get out there, find a car wash, remember this, and go crush it. Anyways, more like this coming soon. Oh, yeah. Let me know what other things you want me to break down in the car wash world or just, boring businesses in general. And I'd love to. So hit me up in the comments and I'll hit you back.